Good evening, participants. Good evening. Good evening, participants. Good evening, Gabriel. Good evening, Gabriel.
Yes, good evening, sir.
How are you, Gabriel?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm seeing a few participants. I'm seeing only 6 people, actually 4 attendees, and I'm trying to buy some little time and then we start. If we can make like 10, we'll start because I'm seeing only 4. The others are panelists, but let's give you some little time and then we shall start. Otherwise, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, participants. Am I heard that end? Are you hearing me, members? You are hearing me? Good. We gave it some little time. It's just 5, and let us give it some 5 more minutes. I see the turn-up is increasing, but let us have like 5 more, and then we shall start. Those who are on, you are welcome. This is MDC. The engagement is for MDC, Management Decision and Control. And we'd like to learn techniques of passing it and understanding it. Not just passing, but really understanding it. Just bear with us, give us a few minutes, we shall start. Meanwhile, I'm saying welcome. We have the facilitator already in the call. He's already in the house, as the language goes. That is the online house. And you're welcome, Gabriel. Those who are on, thank you. Those who are on, be sure you're on the right link, and we are starting off at exactly 5:05. We shall start. So don't log out and think that maybe we are starting later. We have just started, but we are giving time for other people to log in. 2-3 minutes ahead of now, we shall start. You are welcome once again. Gabriel, I can see the good photograph behind you. You are really, you are doing well. That photo has amused me, and I'm glad we are in it.
That one.
There's a background photo I'm seeing, which is very nice.
Thank you for appreciating patriotism.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
May I share my screen?
Yeah, you can hold on a bit. I first introduce you, and then, but you can share because we are not share.
Okay.
You can share because we are not share.
Okay.
Can you go ahead and share? I'll talk from the background. Good evening once again. You are welcome to this students engagement. We are few, but we are enough for the start. I know others will come in. This is the first session of engagement this season. We shall have engagements in other papers. Tomorrow we have engagements. And we shall be updating you on the rest of the papers. But otherwise, we have engagements running as we shared and you received the information in your mails. So today, we are looking at management, decision, and control. The idea behind this is that we shall listen to people who are skilled in management, who are skilled in decision making, who are skilled in advisory, who can take us through and prepare us on how we can approach questions and issues related with decision making, management control, and in particular, MDC as a subject. So members, you are welcome, and welcome with me, CPA Muwonge Musenero Gabriel, who is going to take us through the session. I'm called Justice Tirenawe. I'm an officer at examinations and have a strong passion for the work I do, especially this paper. I'm glad to see you on, and I'm excited to host this friend of ours, whom I trust that is the best choice for this session. This is none other than Muwonge Musenero Gabriel, CPA, who is a tax officer at URA. He has Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Finance. He has an MBA. He's skilled as a professional. He's skilled as an advisor. He has vast experience in issues of advisory that span a period not less than 10 years. He is a CPA, as the name runs. He has qualifications in total tax person, and he has a postgraduate diploma in tax investigations. And of course, when you're investigating tax, I imagine there's a lot of computation, there's a lot of analysis, there's a lot of, quite a lot in that. So today, we are privileged to have him to take us through this session. And at the end of the day, I'm sure we shall be ready to pass this paper in the next attempt. I'd like to imagine that those all are tuition providers, but mainly are students in the paper. You may be new to the paper, or you may be somebody who is coming for a second time. Or you may be a tuition provider, as I said. No worries, because what you want is share knowledge. As usual, I expect good interaction from the audience. The question and answer, use it. For a question that you want Gabriel to respond to, kindly post it in Q&A. For any other communication that is not related to this content, the chat is available for you. But kindly in Q&A, post only content related to the presentation. Issues concerning the institute, in general, the secretariat, avoid them. I expect you to communicate and ask questions related to MDC. Otherwise, for the issues related to the institute, we have a separate engagement for that. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much, Gabriel, CPA Gabriel, for accepting to sacrifice your evening. And thank you, members, for logging on. We shall run from this time up to 7. God willing. Thank you so much once again. Gabriel, welcome. Take on the audience.
Thank you very much, CPA Justice, for that wonderful introduction. I don't need to repeat anything, maybe some little addition to the audience. Yes, I'm a tax auditor, a tax officer, as he has put it. And here we are going to go through management decisions and control, CPA paper 11, and to see how we can make it for those who are going to sit in December 2022. Am I audible?
Gabriel, you're audible. You may need only to tilt your screen and so that we can see well if you are to show the face. Otherwise, you're seeing only the head.
Okay.
That one. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So straight away, I think it's the time we start off. As you are seeing from there, we are looking at MDC paper 11, and I like these quotes. We are going to, this motivational quote is good for us who are attempting exams. And putting in the shoes of that person, May West, is telling us that I never said it would be easy. I only said it would be worth it. So whatever we are going to look at today is worth it. And you have not come here to say, to think that this presentation is making passing exams easy, but it is making it worth it, and it is preparing you to success, but not to simplification. So this is what we are going to go through today. We are going to review, we are going to just look at a brief overview of the syllabus for this paper, and then we look at the previous performance, that is the pre and the post-COVID. Then the third one, we shall look at the best exam approaches, and then we shall look at why sometimes students' performance is poor. Then we shall look at the question approach example. We shall have a conclusion and then a QA session. Maybe may I, before I go to the syllabus overview, may I request, can it be participative, or we shall do the QA at the end of the moderator? Shall we do the QA at the end, or we are going to do an interactive session where someone has a question, asks, or we first go through and then we get a QA at the end? Okay, we can continue, audience. But please, is anybody listening to me? Anybody in the audience, you can unmute and say yes.
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Kind of on.
Yes, fine. Yes. So CPA paper 11 is a level 2 paper that integrates, or it picks some knowledge from paper 2, that is quantitative technology or quantitative techniques, and it also picks knowledge from paper 7, which is cost and management accounting, from level 1. So as we are looking at this paper on level 2, we have some knowledge which we gain from the other two papers on level 1 that are very useful, that is very useful and necessary into this paper. And maybe to supplement, to add it on, the knowledge you get from these two papers is also tested at this level in this paper. This paper is a 3-hour exam, and you are privileged with a 15-minute time of reading. Then you have a section A 4-marker compulsory 40-marker compulsory question, and a section B with 4 20-mark optional questions. These 4 questions, they are optional. You choose 3. Each carries 20. Then the paper has 7 learning outcomes and 15 topics. When you look at the exams, how they are set, 70% of these exams basically covers computation, and 30% is discursive. And this paper focuses much on comprehension, analysis, and evaluation. So, in that area, on the syllabus overviews you have had, you have to ensure that you cover your 7 learning outcomes very well. You cover them, and the 15 topics cover them, because at the end of the day, as we are looking at these exams, almost examiners are testing you at a level of 90% of the topics and the learning outcomes. Each paper is testing you almost at that. And here, you are at the level of comprehending issues, or at the level of analyzing issues, at the level of evaluating issues. So this is how the performance has been, or was in the previous, this is the pre-COVID period, June 2017 to November 2019. As you can see, the failure rate supersedes the pass rate. The passing trend is not consistent, it's diverging. It grows as it drops, it grows as it drops. That is the past COVID, the pre-COVID. Then we have the post-COVID, or COVID and the post-COVID period, or the COVID period when exams were sat. We have December 2020 to September 2022. There are around 7 sittings. And when you look at the performance of these sittings, in March 2021, this paper registered a pass rate of 69%. But since then, we have been averaging around 26. You can see 36%, that is December 2020. You see a 33 in October 2021. You see a 26 in December 2021. You see a 23. So that's why the performance is not consistent. It is diverging. It came December, it increased drastically in March, then it dropped in October, then it started declining. It moved up in June 2022, and in September 2022, it went down. So the people who are here, the students and the tuition providers, this is a good feedback from those ones who sat these papers, that we need to check ourselves and we prepare enough to improve this performance. Otherwise, we need what appears to be the failure rate to be the pass rate. So if we can turn things around and make them vice versa, it will be the best. Then we can look at the best exam approaches. What could be the best exam approaches that you may take as a student, as a candidate for this paper? The first thing is to cover at least 80% of the learning outcomes and the topics, if not 100%. Ensure that you have covered 80% of the learning outcomes. This is because you are going to find this paper. You're going to find this paper when a question is covering more than 4 topics. So if you have read only one topic, you may fail to answer a question in this paper satisfactorily. Otherwise, if you don't cover 80% of the learning outcomes and 80% of the topics, and you enter this paper, you are most likely not to acquire all the marks allocated on a question. The way when you look at these papers, when you look at the past papers, which I was provided with here, when I've looked at them, I looked at this paper of September 2022, which I've picked out as a case study for this presentation. This paper is interesting. When you look at question 1, is testing 4 questions. And when you look at question 2, it is testing 2 topics. That question 3, 4, and 5, each tests 3 topics. So, which means someone who has just concentrated on one topic with assumption that it will be examined in solely or independently in one question is likely not to earn all the marks allocated on that question. Then, so syllabus coverage is very key in this area. Please, candidates, tuition providers, ensure to look at these, ensure to look at the syllabus in its totality. If possible, you can read 100% of it and you are covered. Then the right revision process. This is also key. You know, during revision, when you are reading for this paper, when you are reading for any exam, you have got your syllabus, you have got your reading material. You may decide to read each topic, but it is a bad practice for you to read and complete entire syllabus without practicing questions. Because there you are not going to comprehend the knowledge. You have not given yourself a chance to test your analysis, evaluation, and interpretative skills. You have not given yourself the chance. When you don't practice past papers, you are not giving yourself a chance. But when you go and practice the questions, especially from the past papers, you are testing yourself whether the knowledge you have gained, what you have read from the topic, you can really use it now to address a scenario which is given in a question form, or a question which is given in a scenario form in this paper. For instance, when you look at now, as we are talking about question 1, it's a scenario case. All questions are scenario cases. But when you look at this one, a scenario case, the 40-marker questions with the 4 topics. So when you have read the topics, the 4 topics which are covered there, and you read this question, and you try now to answer this question, you will see your capacity. And please, during revision, don't revise. Don't revise the solutions provided by the institute. Okay? That you get the past paper alongside the solutions. And you are looking at the question, you are following the solution. There, you are also cheating yourself. It is self-cheating because you have not put yourself on a test. You need to solve the question and then you mark yourself. The reason as to why the institute provides you these solutions is to ease your work of not looking for a person to mark you. You answer and then you mark yourself and you swear you have gone wrong. So the revision process is also key for you to pass. You don't just read and go to the exam without practicing. There you will have, that's when maybe you will suffer from examination fever even when you enter without practicing questions. Because you are going to enter into examination hall without that, you have not tested yourself. And you are finding an experience, you are finding an experience which is totally different from what for you have been used. Maybe you have been practicing examples which have been given to you by your instructors, and that is not good. Please get the past papers, go through them, read them, solve the questions. And in solving the questions, as we have said, after solving the question, go get the solution and mark yourself. But don't try to solve the question alongside the marked the exam solutions given to you by the institute. As I've said, there you are cheating yourself. This is the same thing even when you are reading in a group, when you are revising as a group. It is better everybody to be given a question. You practice it independently. You come and present to your colleagues. Otherwise, if for you in a group, you are at the end of reception, you are just a receiver, you are cheating yourself. The other people who are presenting to you on a daily basis, they are becoming your teachers, they are gaining more skills, and they will be the best in this exam or in any exam. So it is an individual effort whereby revision, you must put in serious effort in terms of reading and practice. The next point to note is the comprehension of the technical knowledge. The technical knowledge you have acquired. When you have acquired the technical knowledge from reading, from practice, and you are in the exam, your concentration should be on demonstrating the following. 1, the knowledge application to scenarios. The knowledge application to scenarios. Can you apply your knowledge to the scenarios given to you? You have a scenario given to you. Can you read it? And actually you use your knowledge to address issues stated in that scenario. Because at the end of the day, as we have said, when you are practicing, you must also show that you have skills in analysis, evaluation, assessment, decision-making, and the discussion. Because when you look at these questions, the way they are set, it is put to you as a candidate who is going for this paper to demonstrate. The examiner here, we are seeing the examiner giving you a question. And when the examiner gives you a scenario, then he asks you, evaluate. So is putting you under a situation that companies, say company A has the following issues happening to it. Please evaluate that situation and give an advice, or assess that situation and discuss your findings. So all the skills here, which are stated here, they are going to be tested, but they are looking at your technical knowledge. Remember, you are a professional who is going to become an advisor upon completion. And some of you already are advisors, either in private practice or in employment. So this is what the paper calls for. And you are going to find the same things even in integration of knowledge. You are going to find these things also at the level 3, even more, now in level 3, more advanced, more demanding. Why here, your analysis, evaluation, assessment, and discussion is needed because you are a decision maker. You are a decision maker. You cannot be an advisor of a decision maker. So you cannot be a decision maker when you can't do analysis. So if, okay, you are a decision maker and you have your advisors, so you cannot be an advisor to a decision maker when you cannot do analysis of the situation at hand, when you cannot do you cannot evaluate the situation at hand, you cannot assess a situation at hand, you cannot interpret information available, and you are not good at discussion. Because it is not all about performing your analytical computations. You apply various techniques on a given scenario and you throw it there. You know very well that there's what is called information and the data. Whatever is not useful in the hands of a decision maker is data. So when you do everything for you, will think you have provided the decision maker with the information. Instead, you have provided data. That information will be, if the decision maker is capable of using that information, then of that data, then it becomes information. But if I prepare a report and I give it to my boss, and my boss is stuck, what I've done is I've provided data. If I do my quantitative analysis very well and I give him, look at a situation where you do, say, customer profitability analysis. You prepare very well the table and you are taking it to the CEO, who is not biased, who has less bias in these accounting things. For you, you say, this is my report, full figures. So the CEO will look at it and will have no way forward. What is he going to do? So that's why discussion in this area is key. You must guide and discuss and say, this is what we have seen. This is the figures are talking this, and this is what it means. And for me, I would advise we take this direction. You give even an opinion. So when the CEO reads your discussion, we really understand. So this is what the paper comes for or calls for. And it is indeed, it is what is in practice. Then in that same area where your technical knowledge is very, very important, in this paper, where we're concentrate on demonstrating your knowledge application, the skills in analysis, evaluation, assessment, decision, and discussion is another key thing. Is not, don't forget your critical thinking. Think critically, because decisions must be based on reasoned justification. So you must come out and indicate that, as we have said up there, that discuss to show the implication. So, and that's why we are noting there that any decision you are going to give in an exam, the examiners will consider it to be valid so long as you have based it on your answer. I don't think an examiner will give me a mark on my decision when it is totally disintegrated from my solution. Because you look at, as we have talked about the customer profitability analysis, I've performed the customer profitability analysis. And maybe I was testing, say, 2 customer segments, say medium class and say lower group, lower class and say the high class. And I've established that the lower class is more profitable. But my solution is wrong. But for me, that's what I've found. So I should discuss in the direction of my solution. Don't peep in your neighbor's solution, and you have seen it, because now the other one has high class customers to be with the one with the high profitability, and you want to write that as your decision or your advice, as your opinion, yet your solution is speaking something different. There is no mark. The examiner cannot give you a mark there. But I think an examiner will give me a mark if I've discussed validly my solution. Because here you are not actually, for me, in my understanding, the examiner will not be now looking here. The examiner, when he's looking at the knowledge, is not looking at the correctness of the figures which I've got. The examiner must be looking at the knowledge. For me, using my raw figures, I'm showing to you that I have the capacity to make a decision given the information available. So that is very key to you to appreciate. So you find that you are likely to get marks despite having a zero what? Despite having a zero mark on your solution. But you are going to get a mark on the advisory opinion because you have validly discussed it in the direction of your answer, and you have demonstrated that for you, when it comes to decision making, if I give you information, you can really say, no, give it based on this and this. This is my opinion to the decision. So our next approach is to look at the quality of your content, the quality of the content you are giving. Here we are talking about quality over quantity. As I'm saying quality over quantity, that please, you don't need to write too much. You don't need to write too much. If, for example, I'm looking at this question in September, sitting, and I'm looking at question 1, where the examiner of this paper wanted the candidates to explain the elements of effective communication process, and they awarded them 7 marks. So they were awarding 7 marks, these examiners. So if the examiners here are awarding 7 marks, if you have discussed elements of effective communication process. So the first thing which comes to your mind, if I was the one, I would think that what are the elements? Could they be 7? What are they if they are 7? if they are going to be awarding 1 marker for each element, what amount, the number, could I write half a page for 1 point? Should I write a quarter page for 1 point to get 1 mark? Or I should summarize my content in at least each paragraph to be like with 2 sentences, so that I am able to use little time, but to earn 7 marks. I'm straight on point. So that's what we are saying, quality over quantity. Because when you start writing a lot of words, you are giving irrelevant information. And you are likely to start writing irrelevant information on the point, and the relevant information you are going to give it at the end. Are you certain that the examiner is going to read that half a paragraph which you are giving? Now, these are 70 points, let us assume they are 70 points, and you are giving the examiner 2 points per paragraph, 2 points per page. So how many pages have you written now for 70 points? 2, those are 2 pages. 6, those are 3 pages. So you're almost giving the examiner 4 pages to read for the award of 70 marks. You are giving, you are wasting your time. You are wasting your time as a candidate answering this question. So you should balance. As I've said, determine. The determinant factor would be, look at the marks given. Look at how many contents are given, how many elements of effective communication are they? Are they 7? Are they 8? If they are 8, it implies he wants any 7, or she wants any 7. If they are 7, he wants all the 7. But what you may be certain, if I'm the candidate here, that I must give 70 marks here. I must give 70 marks. So, quality over quantity, show what you know, but not how much you know. Because when you start writing how much you know, you are wasting your time, and as we have said, you are going to give irrelevant information to your points, and on the first hand, and at last you are giving now the relevant information, yet the impression you have created the examiner that this person doesn't know. I don't mean that these examiners don't read your things, but I'm just telling you not to take a risk. Be smart. Be smart when it comes to quality. Yes, even when you are answering, you start by giving the stronger points to these discursive questions. Give the stronger points first, and you give the weak points last. We used, actually, no, I will not say we used, we are still reading also. When I'm reading for an exam and I'm answering an exam, my trick will be that I give you the points which I can explain the best, and I give the points which I cannot explain the best last. That is my trick. I will give you the points which I can explain best first, because I know that I'm going to be very brief. I'm not gambling. I'm not thinking to what to write. I'm on point. Then I will bring the weaker points to supplement the others where I'm sure that those marks are there. Then this was where you were giving me half a mark, at least if they are 7 and at least the 5, I'm sure they are strong. Then you are likely even to give me these 2 minus not even giving me halves, as you, an examiner, marking me. So that is the point of quality over quantity. You must balance your game very well. You must balance your game very well. So when it comes to another one is the business awareness. When we look at all these scenarios given in these past papers, when you read the past papers and look at the scenarios, all these scenarios in the various industries, in the various, you are working with a bank, if you are working with a bank, ensure to do what? Don't just be there with your banking sector only, with the knowledge on banking sector. No, please work also with, try to understand the other sectors. Try to appreciate what happens in health sector, what happens in the health sector, what happens in education sector. If you are in the education sector, try to understand what happens in the banking sector, what happens in telecommunication, because the examiners are going to take you in to bring scenarios from different sectors for one reason. What I think, they are testing people from different industries, different sectors. So for them, they want to balance. Let the 5 questions be from different sectors. So someone of the bank, when he finds a question on the bank, will be understanding the processes. It is likely even to read a scenario when it has ever surfaced at their what? At their workplace. When they bring a scenario on farming, poultry farming, and you work with the Bijinzika, you are good to go. You know poultry farming processes. So that's what happens. That's what happens. That's what happens. Then the next approach, which is also key, is the examination itself, the techniques in the exam. Leave at the other time, we have been looking at the knowledge. We have looked at we started with syllabus coverage. We looked at that when you are revising, it has to be a good process. We have looked at the technical knowledge. We have looked at the quality of your answers. We have looked at having a business knowledge or the business awareness. Be exposed to various industry sectors. Now, what about the exam? What about the exam? What about the exam? When you go to the exam, what happens to the exam? When you look at the exam, here, we are looking at one thing. The first thing is time. You have seen, we are talking about quality of the answers, that when you're writing, when you write too much, you waste your time. You may not finish the exam in time. This question has 5 questions. You must answer 4. Question 1 is compulsory, taking 40 marks. The other 3, they give you 60. To be the best performer, you need to show that you can answer the 4 questions. I don't know. I don't know if it is allowed to answer even 5. But these are things which we do. We can finish the 4 within time. And I also start on the 5th one. I diversify my risk. Let me put it to the examiner. They used to tell us in a secondary that when you answer more than the required questions, that they would take a marks on the worst on the worst done. They will take the least marks, not the maximum, but maybe CPA Justice will try to clarify that on behalf of the institute. But when it comes to time management, if you can manage time, it is very, very important. It is very, very important. Ensure to manage time. How? You have a question, you have a paper for 3 hours. Those are 90 minutes. No, those are 180 minutes. And you have to answer how many questions? 180 minutes. If we are to convert 180 minutes per mark, you have 100 marks to attain from the 4 questions. You have 180 minutes and you have 100 marks to attain within 100, within 180. You have 100 marks to get within 180 minutes, meaning each mark should be earned within 1.8 minutes. So if each mark must be earned within 1.8 minutes, what should you do? You look at question 4, question 1 with 40 marks. You should answer it in how many minutes? That would be your question now. What should you do with these ones of 20 marks? Meaning these ones of 20 marks, you should not exceed 36 minutes. Within half an hour, you must be completing a section B. The other question 1 can take you 1 hour. Then these ones, the 4 questions, the 3 questions you must answer. Is it possible to answer them within 1.5 hours, 30 minutes to 30 minutes, 30 minutes? So that you remain with an extra 30 minutes of going to read through your work. So that's how you can start now trying to test yourself on time. On time. And we are saying this one we have already talked about when we talk about the quality of the answers, that be specific when you are answering. Be disciplined. Answer a question exhaustively. Someone will say those two are conflicting. They are not conflicting. When we say be specific when answering and be disciplined to answer a question exhaustively, it goes back. When we say exhaustively, let us look at the scenario of the other 70 marks. You have seen a question that has 70 marks, and for you give 5 points. Are you sure the 5 points are going to earn the 70 marks? Are you sure the 5 marks are going to earn the 70 marks, the 5 points? So that's why we say you answer the question exhaustively. Ensure you answer the question to maximize marks. When you read the examiner's report for this, you find when they are telling you that this part A, part B of this question was not attempted by a majority of the students. This is what we are talking about. So a part is taking, like say, for instance, 8 marks, and you have left it out. You have not answered it. What does it mean? Out of 40, you are now working on 32. Out of 100, you are now working at 92. If you go like that, missing out some parts of the questions you have selected to answer, you miss out a question of 8, you miss out a part of 10, you miss out, you will find yourself, when you have already answered the questions, but some parts of the questions you have not answered, they take like 30 marks. So you have already worked out of 70. You have submitted your script. So the examiner now looks into your script. You have already, is now going to mark you out of 70 because you have already missed out the 30. And when the examiner marks out of 70, yes, you have a chance of getting the 50. But are you sure that out of 70 you have the 50? So you must answer the question exhaustively and mind about the quality of your answers. Then another thing is the balancing. Balancing. You balance section A and B. Some people, because question 1 is compulsory, these things happen. These things happen to us when we are answering. We are given questions which are compulsory. They bring for you, those who are doing those advanced courses, they bring for you a scenario question. And the examiner is saying that scenario question is taking, for instance, like level 3. Even you have done these postgraduate courses where they give you a paper with one question, compulsory. It is, for instance, taking, it says 30 marks, 50 marks. So now being that for it is taking 50 marks, you concentrate on that one without minding about time. The unfortunate part, you waste your 2 hours on that question, but you have not also dealt with it exhaustively. Because if you spend 2 hours on question 1 and you score your 40 out of 40, you are only looking for 10 marks from section B. That one is reasonable. But you are spending 2 hours on section A, question 1 of 40 marks, figuring 2 hours when you are working for only 10 marks. So that's why you balance section A and B. Ensure that you have answered all the questions. So the trick would be, why don't you get the questions you are going to answer? Yes, section A is compulsory. Question 1 is compulsory. And section B is having 3 questions to be answered. But for me, my trick would be, yes, section A is compulsory. When I look at it and I see I have a question in section B where I can score 20 out of 20, I first kill that one. So you should use the rule, they call it what? The prorata, the Pareto rule. You look at where you can maximize marks. First handle that one. Use the Pareto analysis rule. 8 to 80 to 20 rule. Where you can maximize marks, first take that one. You answer that. As we said the other time, that I give the mark where my best answers, I bring them first. The weak answers, I put them last. The same thing which I'm going to do. If I have a question in section B where I can score 20 out of 20, I first answer that one. If there is another where I can get 15 out of 15, I first answer that one. Unless I'm sure that when I answer question 1, I'm having my 30 out of 40, then I go for it. You get? But if I know that this question of section B, it is giving me my 20, I first take it on, I take on the other one. So you rank your questions. You answer them in that order. You are now going to talk about, in the examiner's report, they talk about professional order. When it comes to presentation skills, we are going even to look at it. We're going to look at it. But you should balance section A and B. And I'm seeing the best trick is to identify the questions which you can answer best and attempt them first. Then calculations versus theory. You have seen this paper with 70% calculations and 30% theory. But for you, you concentrate on picking those discussive parts to answer. You have worked out of 30. Suppose you have maximized them. You have worked out of 30. Now, where are you going to get the 70? Or where are you going to get the 20 if you have not calculated? And on the other hand, are you certain that you are going to get the other 30 out of 30 for the theory which you have answered? So that's why you need to balance the game. You need to balance it very well. You need to master calculations. You need to come when you are a balanced person. You have bias in the calculations, you have bias in the discursive parts. Computation versus discursive, you are good to pass. Because I think even the institute or the examiners are not going to be happy with you to pass on only discursive, and they release you. And then they employ you as a management accountant. They ask you to perform, your bosses ask you to perform an analysis. For instance, say we do a break, they tell you to do a break-even analysis. They want to understand where they are break-evening. And then you say we need the work of a consultant. But you are saying you're a CPA, but you want the works of a consultant. They employed you as a CPA, as a management accountant, but you are saying you want the what? The effort of the consultant. Why? Because for you, here you maneuvered to pass by discussing management audits, by discussing benchmarking, by discussing JIT, by discussing measurement theory, without performing a computations. And even when they ask you, how did you pass that paper? That God knows, even me, I don't know. So it is important. Yes, it is good to pass, but you pass when you also see that I have gotten value from this paper. It has added something on me. When you go to do a course must add on you something, because you are going to be called the CPA Musenero. But you are CPA Musenero who cannot comprehend things. You are CPA Musenero who cannot do analysis. You are CPA Musenero who cannot evaluate a scenario given to you. You want now to bring a consultant, the fellows you studied with. You are remembering Musenero. Now I'm remembering I started with Chivumbi. And the Chivumbi, I started with Okero. Okero was good. Okero was the best in this paper. I tell my bosses that, you know what? Let us get Mr. Okero from the finance manager of this company. I'm sure he will do this for us very well. But you are the management accountant. So please balance this. Don't just look at passing, because when you dress this qualification and then you dress this title as a CPA, you must communicate to satisfy the stakeholders that you need your CPA. They must see it in you. Then presentation skills, good handwriting. Please, when you're writing, do it to yourself. This is to be merciful to yourself, not merciful to the other examiners who are going to mark you. You may land to an examiner who fancies good writing, good handwriting. If you land in the hands of an examiner who fancies good handwriting, he's going to mark you with a bias. He's going to mark you with a bias. There are those people who want neatness, who want people to be tidy. Then we talked about professional order. I was telling you now that you rank your questions and answer them in the order of the first, of the best, where you can score maximum marks, answer it first. I will not discourage you, do that. But professional order, you can create it. You can create it, you can do it. Just, you can say, okay. You can say, because I don't think there is any instruction written on the paper that, apart from telling that section A is compulsory, but they don't say that section A must be at the beginning, at the front page of the answer script. You may put it at last. You can first answer, you can say section B, you answer your first two questions which you understand very well. Then you leave space for answering the third question, which you are not understanding. Then you go to answer section A, which you will know now it is the third ranked. And then you come back, you answer the fourth question, which you ranked to be answered last. So you can be orderly. But the examiners here are noting that candidates have professional disorder, where you find someone has, I think you have read these examiners' reports. I guess you read them. The feedback from examiners, they are telling us that candidates, those who have already sat this paper, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, or you are the one who do that, or there are others, that someone writes question 1, part A, part B on the front page, and goes behind the script and writes now question 1, part C. So you are doing you are not merciful to yourself, you are disadvantaging yourself, because the examiners may not see that part C you have put at behind of the paper. So ensure that when you start question 1, all the parts must be in that chronological order. Part A, part B, part C. You can, if you don't want, if you are contemplating that, this one, part B, I will answer it last. You leave the space which you think that your answers for part B will fit in, and then you go. That would be, for me, would be my trick of answering that. That would be my trick. Then causes of poor performance is the others have been the best practice, the best exam approaches. We have told you the first thing, cover the syllabus. The second thing, look at do your revision rightly. The third thing, ensure that you apply the knowledge you have acquired during reading. But in application of the knowledge, don't forget the skills of analysis, evaluation, assessment, discussion, because here you are treated as a decision maker. And be a critical thinker. Then give quality answers, not quantity of answers. And expose yourself to various industrial sectors. We have said be a good time manager. We are putting it again, that be specific in answering. That is quality answers. And be professional in order, but exhaust questions by answering all the questions and giving the right answers, and trying to balance section A with B, and also balance computations with the discursive questions. Please be tidy, write with good handwriting. So what are the causes of poor performance? These ones are noted from the examiner's reports. The first one, which is appearing a series of times, is the examiners are saying they observe unpreparedness. But at the same time, this is also, it is indeed a cause. It is indeed a cause even in this world of ours. Even in this world of ours. Any assignment given to you and you have not prepared for it, you will not deliver. So you need to prepare yourself very well for the exam. The way you prepare yourself for the job interview, the way you prepare yourself, imagine they are telling you, you are going to make a presentation to senior management team about budgetary analysis. And then you wake up with your punched presentation. Then you go and you start gambling in front of the senior management team. What do you think they would think of you? So preparing for any assignment is key to success in that assignment. So the same here. When you have not prepared for the exam, I don't see even the reason as to why you go for this exam, when you have not prepared for it. So please prepare for the exam so that you can attain the maximum, the minimum of 50 marks required to pass. Then another cause of not passing these exams or poor performance is cram work, lot learning practice. Trying to just cram things. The way the instructor has given you the things is the way you want to write them in the exam. That implies understanding did not take a place. I was recently telling a student of a certain university, was complaining about quantitative techniques. You know, in life, in our history, we studied with the people and we study with the people. Someone who comes and tells you, for me, mathematics is a problem. You will go to CPA Justice and they will say, for them, their family, that mathematics is a family disease. Everybody who comes from there understands mathematics. But for us at home, even our father, mathematics is a problem. So they call it a generation thing. They call it a genetic thing, which is not true. Because I don't know whether scientists have proved it otherwise. No, but for me, I think it's not true. It is the effort you put in to understand the concept. But someone conditions the head that if I cram this for this exam and I pass it, that is the end. Is not thinking that what I'm studying now may be useful 10 years to come. On Friday, I happened to graduate. When I graduated, I had a colleague from Bundibujo. This colleague did agriculture. This time around, we were graduating with MBA. And we had, on our graduation party, we had some of our lecturers there. One of financial management and another of operations management. So interestingly, this gentleman of Cocoa Cooperative from Bundibujo said he's the finance manager of that Bundibujo Cooperative something on Cocoa. But he was saying that the time we studied financial management and OPM, they had challenges. But when we started capacity planning in OPM, it was a trigger which has made him survive even during COVID with their cooperative. So we go to class to get this knowledge and we put it into practice. But we are not passing to get the titles. So when you put yourself in the shoes that I want this thing to be relevant to me and I want to understand this thing, then passing will come as a secondary. Still, there is a professor. The professor was telling us that when a professor is asked to prepare any presentation, any paper, say to a conference or to what, the first question a professor asks whether his paper will be published, but does not go to look at the consideration. Consideration is secondary. So even now, we learners, it must be our target that let passing be a secondary objective, but the primary objective is understanding these things to get the knowledge. Well, I'm sure when you understand, passing will be attained at free cost without even a struggle. Your struggle is to understand. So you should avoid rote learning, because when you try to just cram things, you are not understanding these things. You cannot comprehend them. So, meaning someone who has gone through, who is trying to just cram, who is trying to use this practice of rote learning, is doing what? When an examiner just diverts a few inches from you, you slide and fall into that deep hole. You will go there. If it is a river, you will just slide, they will find you in the river. They will find you in the lake. Because this person just made a simple diversion from your direction, which you thought that when we are going to this bridge, we go like this. So imagine if for you have crammed that passing through, this is the bridge of River Nile. But now, the engineers make a simple diversion. And for you continue. When the bridge is now just diverted a bit, but for you are continuing with your direction, you will just find yourself in the River Nile. So this is the same thing, that when you are cramming, when you are relying on cramming, a mere change, a simple trick in that concept, in that area, will make you fail and will make you shiver, will be like some feedback, not even feedback. These things we have seen them when we were sitting senior 4, senior 6, where a person says, this is not the paper, as if had set his own or her own. So cram worker is a bad practice, which you cannot apply here, but you try to apply it and it will take you flat. You will find yourself finding nothing to write into this paper. So please consider understanding these areas, these topical areas, as your primary objective, and then passing becomes a secondary objective. At the end of the day, you are going to get passing at free cost because you paid already the cost on trying to understand these things. Then over concentration on discursive parts. This one I don't need even to repeat it. We have talked about it when we were talking about balancing discursive and computation and discursive parts. Then the next thing is over reliance on instructors. You candidates, we have got testimonies. We have colleagues. Someone tells you, I've failed public sector reporting. This is my 10th time. This is my 50th time. They sent me to instructor so and so I went there. He's good, my God. All my colleagues passed. 3 of us failed. Then that was not enough. I went to another guy here. The same thing. My colleagues passed. But like 5 of us who have not made it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with this paper. But you have not sat down to meditate, to understand why are you failing. To understand why are you failing. Look, the institute has given you a study pack. The institute has given you the past papers. The institute has uploaded the solutions. Why don't you test yourself instead of waiting to go for the mock exam of the instructor? Why don't you give yourself these past papers as mock exams? I told you the institute is giving you the solution. Okay. You do the paper, take it to your instructor for marking. When we're in secondary, when you get a number to solve, we used to have Mr. Charimpa could tell you, when you have failed the question as an individual, take it to the group, to your group discussion group. When you fail it as a discussion group, you consult another discussion group. So if the whole class has failed, you take it to him. But for you, you have not failed as an individual. You have not failed as a discussion group. At the same time, you have not even tried. So you are relying on your instructor to give you reading material during study, and even during revision, you go back to the instructor to take you through. When are you going to practice? If you go for revision, let the instructor sit behind as a student and you, the student, present, then the instructor will say, yes, excellent, brilliant. We say, okay, there, no, we need to do like this. There we need a correction. But you are the one who giving a brilliant, excellent to the instructor. So please, if you are over relying on the instructor, that is another weakness. Poor time management, we have talked about this. Dodging what the question is in section B. The other questions, they are scenario-based questions. Anything written there is very important to answer that question. So please read it. As I've told you, that appropriate your time. You have 3 hours, 180 minutes. Each mark needs 1.8 minutes to get to earn it. So if a question has 20 marks, you need to at least a maximum of 36 minutes. Can you practice now to make yourself that for me, each question I should take 30 minutes maximum? If you have a chance, the question which you understand the best, you might even answer it within 25 minutes, and you save like 11 minutes. So you are going to find yourself having some reserved time for complex ones, because we shall not say that all questions will be complex. A question which is complex to me may not be complex to A, may not be complex to C. That's how life is. What is complicated to me is not what is complicated to you. You should know that. So we have now, the others have been specific. We have the general causes of poor performance. And the first one is this one. These ones before exams. You make yourself lazy. You create, there are those ones, by the way, you make yourself lazy. You say, today I'm not going to go, today I'm not going to read. Today I will read, there is still time. You want to sit in December 2022, and we are at the beginning of November, you are like, I will read it, starting with the 15th November. 15th November reaches, you are like, that is laziness is intertwined with the I will do it later attitude. You keep on postponing. That procrastination thing, you are postponing all the time. You are extending. Please. That is a joke. Then we have overconfidence. There are those ones who are confident. There are those ones who are confident. For me, when it comes to quantitative techniques, when it comes to MODC, that one is a walkover. I will read it during the week of the exam. I don't need to read it now. I understand these things. Talk about divisionalization. Talk about standard costing and variance analysis. You're talking about budgetary analysis. You're talking about linear programming. For me, those things, I'm good. I will read. I will just revise in the next what? In the last week. So, yes, you are good, but practice will perfect you. So overconfidence can lead you to your failure. Then, another thing, the bad reading habits, especially during this period of social media. The time we did the papers, these papers, for us, we were lucky. Social media was not, even during that time, smartphones were not common. Those years of 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, smartphones were not common to everybody. Internet was very expensive. The smartphones with the internet, I don't think if they were there. They were routers, you had to have a modem. The data was expensive as compared to today. So, and the to access, you had to have a laptop now, you had to have a computer for Facebook. So social media was not globalizing us as it is bringing us together now, was not a real mode of communication as it is today. But the social media, you have WhatsApp, you have very many apps for communication, and they are very, very important. So they have killed the reading behavior of the students. And if you don't work on it, it will kill. As you are reading what? You are reading your WhatsApp messages. So understand that the concentration is going away. So lack of interest, mindset, too engaged, friends, finance, unreliable teachers. You may have unreliable instructors. Today I tell you, there is a class. The class will start at 7. It reaches around 6:30. I send a message. I will not appear. Sorry. I do that for almost a month. In a month, you see me once. So those unreliable instructors can, all these ones can cause your failure. Then on examination day, when you are late, you have incomplete materials, not heeding to instructions, time wasting, exam malpractice, incomplete materials, you are going for duty, you are going for MDC, where you know there is linear programming, but you have not gone with the ruler. You are not going with the ruler, but there is a likelihood of doing some graphs. So you have not gone with the calculator, yet 70% are calculations. So that is, and trying to engage in exam malpractice, you know very well the examination policy of the institute. Then, now, the question approach. Question approach. So on the question approach, do we have people with the question papers of September 2022 here in the audience? You can just write in the Q&A. You can write in the Q&A. You can write, because I'm going to. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they may not have them. Maybe you have to be more elaborate and you raise the issues they require there, and then they can maybe follow us to look around. So
okay.
Yes.
I think let me share the question paper. Okay, right from there, if you are watching, if you are on your screen, you can see this paper. We can go through As we have said, 3 hours and 15 minutes. You can say section A, section B. They tell you to read also other instructions that you are guided. So you look at question 1. Question 1.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It has not come good. We are not seeing it.
You're not seeing it.
It's still opening this side.
You're not seeing it.
Yeah, it's still opening. I don't know whether anybody is seeing it, but here it's still opening.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and I go back to share. Are we seeing it now?
So it's okay now.
Okay. Okay. So as you're seeing that paper, September 2022, the instructions we have gone through, but the major thing, the first thing you can see that this scenario question 1 is covering now it is like 3 pages, and the requirements, we look at it, part A, advise BFC's new board on the Roman 1 category of guarantors to be considered for secured loans. And the examiner here is telling you use decision tree analysis. What happens here? Even when you are reading, you as a candidate, when you are reading from the other side, when you are reading the exam in the examination, when you are reading the question in the examination room, you may read and really try to see where the examiner is taking you. Because I know some of us read the question first and read the write-up, the scenario first before we go to the requirements. And others, their approach is to first read the requirements and they go to the scenario. Whatever does for you the best, we are not going to dictate on each approach you are taking. But what is important, have you understood what the examiner needs on this requirement from the scenario? They are telling category of guarantors to be considered for secured loans. And when you read, if I say I'm going to read this, okay, let us go through it briefly. BFC Circle was established, blah, blah, that is the background information. BFC was hard hit by the pandemic, which reduced revenue to the decline in the loan disbursement in the last 2 years. The new board identified governance challenges inherited from its predecessors that failed to make final decisions. The old board failed to decide on letting out only premises and then rent a neighboring small building. There is no formal policy on communication, which has led to insider dealing, misuse of confidential information. Then the chairman, finance and investment committee proposed introduction of secured loans to non-member farmers in the operational districts under guarantee of the members. The proposal was intended to improve returns on investment since loanable funds were available. BFC currently offers unsecured loans categorized into emergency, short-term and long-term on the basis of members' share capital and savings account balance. The finance and investment committee members support the proposal of secured loans, but they were divided on guarantors. Some suggested individual guarantors, while others preferred a group of 3 guarantors, reasoning that individual is very risky and may require the loans to be insured. The performance of farmers' circles is always affected by boom and recess seasons. Meteorologists forecast that the chances at 40% for the boom season to occur in the next 5 years. The financial statistics from the circles regulator indicate that loans guaranteed by a group of individual perform as follows. Emergency, short-term, and these are now secured loans, how they perform. The annual rent interest income is normally reduced by 4% and 2% during boom and recess seasons, respectively for loans guaranteed by an individual. The chance of dispersing secured emergency, short-term and long-term loans are those ones. The probability that the insured security will be that. The dispersing of uninsured secured emergency is that. So the move management account rejected the introduction of secured loans because they were less profitable compared to unsecured loans. Based on the budgeted forecast of the budget forecast for the first quarter of the year 2023, when secured loans are anticipated. Below is the budget profitability analysis. There is more information there. They are talking about ABC system. The financial experts advised to complete out their own building. So basically, what happens here, you see, is telling you category of guarantors to be considered for secured loans using decision tree analysis. So someone had to go there and draw a decision tree. The decision tree, I guess all of you people have read. So if you have read and you have read the topic of risk and uncertainty, that's where we find the decision tree analysis used in determining the payoffs. So someone to determine the payoffs for the category of guarantors. They have given you two categories. We have the individual guarantors from the scenario and the group guarantors. But to get all this, you have to understand. You have now to bring your knowledge of drawing the decision tree. You bring it here. You have to draw a decision tree here. And you present that information on the decision tree. You have to look at the decision. Should we go? We want to go into secured loans. Should we go with the individual guarantors or we go with the group guarantors? When we go with the group guarantors, what happens? They have told you. When we go by individual guarantors, there is another decision to take on individual guarantors because they're talking about if we are to go with them, we must insure them. Those loans must be insured. So you have to take another decision. If we are to go with the individual loans, should we insure or we don't insure? Because some are saying, okay, if we go with them, let us insure. So you have to make a decision, should we insure or we don't insure? And then from there, you go now to look what they have told you. These loans, these things happen in a boom and a recess season. These circles. So they have a boom season and a recess season. And these seasons to happen, then they tell you income, rental income which you get during the recess and during the boom. So you have to take all, they have given the probability chances. So you have to draw all those routes very well, and then you get your probability, the joint probabilities, or from the independent probability, the joint probabilities, which you were supposed to multiply with these net interest incomes they have given to get expected net interest income, which you had now to add according to each decision route. And then you determine the best decision to make. So you need to read from the other side, and then you point out your areas. But as I've told you that this one, if it is me instructing you, you will find it easy. But to see that it is not easy, do it so that you read yourself to make it easy. But otherwise, if you are seeing it easy, and you are waiting to make it easy in the exam, you are going to be frustrated. You will be wondering how your instructor was making it easy on the board. So please wake up and put yourself in the shoes of your instructor and practice. But the approach you are going to take is look at the analysis. Sometimes they may give you a question when they have not given you a technique, a specific technique. I saw that was it in the paper of June 22. I think June 2022. They were asking you, they gave you techniques listed up there, and you are the one to pick the right technique to apply on each requirement. But here, now you see, Roman 2, most profitable loan category for the year 2023. Use ABC system. And when you come in the exam, in the scenario, they have already told you he requested the management account to provide the revised profitability analysis based on ABC. There is information here, profitability of unsecured loans, profitability of secured loans. And they are telling you that the budget operating costs are here for the quarter. And they are giving you the activities they have planned. So which this information which they are giving you here has a purpose for you to base on to do the other analysis. So that information was helpful to perform, to answer Roman 2 using ABC, whereby for you had to go look at the activities, determine the activity drivers, determine the cost driver rates, and then you apportion these costs here. These costs which they have given you here. You apportion these costs here to the products up here, the unsecured and the secured. As simple as that, and you see what is profitable. But I've told you it is simple in the eyes of the instructor. It will be simple at your face when you have done it and you have marked yourself. And as we say that practice takes you to perfection, please ensure to practice and you perfect. The implications of letting out the building to SBUL. The guys here, this examiner was telling you, here, there's somewhere when you read BFC board 995 million from Canadian Bank to, you have had somewhere that the board, the old board had failed to take a decision to let out their premises and for them they go for renting. So this was a decision. Should we continue operating in our premises or we go and rent? And this man, the way he asked you, the implications of letting out the building to SBUL. Okay? What are the implications? So now for you, as a candidate, because when you read here in the examination report, they are saying you as candidates, some of you went ahead to enter this theoretically. Because this one is asking the implications and you are answering it qualitatively. Yet, this question is looking at letting out which question has been, the scenario is giving you too much quantitative information, which you must analyze and you come up with a final information. So basically here you have to test what would be the gain, what do we lose and what do we gain? What do we gain or lose when we let it out? Are we saving when we are letting out or we are saving when we are? That would be the question you ask yourself and use this data given here. So then explain the elements of effective communication process. And please note that these examiners, when they are testing, there is nothing which they are going to test when they have not written about it in the scenario. It is rare to find it, though sometimes I find it in their papers, but it's rare. Because now when you come here and look at, where they talk about there is no communication policy, there is no formal communication policy, which has led to insider dealing and misuse of confidential. And the man is here asking you the elements of effective communication process. Planning and the control functions, how do they relate to the decision-making process? So this one is very direct. Explain to BFC's new board. Direct. It is direct. There is no need of going to say that let me first define the communication process. You give the elements. But you can give the definition as a souvenir. You never know. You never know. Give the definition of the communication process as a souvenir to display because that one will take you seconds to write, like 1 minute. And then, so at the end of the day, what is important is to read the scenario, understand it, and bring it here, and use the information above there to address these issues. Let me look for what they call, what they say was the worst done question. I want to look at that one. But you members, have you already looked at this examiner's report? Yes.
What time is that going?
Yes, I want to just look for the worst done question according to the report, and
Because we are
then
closing at 7.
we give them a chance to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We can go to the question. We go to the 2A session.
Thank you so much, Gabriel.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. And members, we've listened to him, done it well. And Gabriel, I have a few issues here. There's a question here. Charles is asking, why is it that in most cases, question 1 is very long and confusing, and in the end, students fail to attempt it? So, Gabriel, this student is saying that really question 1 is confusing and long. I don't know what you can tell him. I wish you could respond to that.
It is very long and
that's long and confusing. I don't know whether when you are reading it yourself as a consultant there, I don't know whether you found it confusing. I don't know whether you found it very long. Kindly give an insight on that. Thank you.
But okay, I can remove the sharing. Let me stop sharing my screen. I want to stop sharing. Stop sharing. Yes, we go back here. Okay. Someone who is asking why the question
is long and confusing.
And confusing, as they have already heard from when I was starting and when I quoted, I told them that the first thing, when you look at these papers, the examiner has given you 4 syllabus areas in question 4. In question 1, 4 syllabus areas in question 1. What do you expect? There are 40 marks. The paper, the syllabus coverage is 15 topics. He wants to cover between 70 to 90% of that syllabus. So he's going to intertwine more than 2 topics into this question. So in bringing in those topics, he's trying to derive. I think the examiner here is trying to derive a point at home by giving the candidate more information to appreciate the scenario, which is going to aid them to answer the requirements down. Otherwise, if they have not been given that information and the intention of the examiner, now like in this question we have been discussing, question 1, the intention, the examiner wants to make you to advise the board on the implications of letting out the building, trace BUL, and it says use the relevant costs. So if they have not given you the flow, the revenue and the cost flows for letting the building out, and also going for them to also hire premises, how would they answer this question? Of course, they can't. So that information must be provided to them. So the information provided in the scenario is very useful, and it is a 40-marker question. It's a 40-marker question.
Okay, thank you so much.
There is no confusion. There is no confusion I'm seeing when you read like this question 1, I'm seeing for it, it is indeed not confusing. It is chronologically arranged. Where I can say I see confusion, it was which question where I saw PV ratio. There was a question where there is a PV ratio brought in to be used. There's a question where there is PV ratio and the candidate has to use it to derive something. I can say that the examiner is trying to confuse you, but he's not also confusing you, but he's testing you. That can you use the other technique to solve this problem? Can you use another route? It's not confusion. It is just a trick. What I told you that if you are just cramming, just a mere diversion from that route, you slide and continue because for you confused in that direction. You are not dynamic that you can move around. I guess I've tried to deliver a point at home.
All right. Thank you so much once again. And I've liked the comment on the PV ratio. And I imagine the people in attendance are really picking the skills you are using to interpret and understand these questions. Like to add on that concern of the long question and being confusing. Of course, the information you are given is real and you don't expect the question to be straightforward in the first place, because even at the workplace, even the workflow is never straightforward. You must jump around issues and make sure that you align them so as to come out with good programs and good products. And Gabriel has said something good, dear listeners, that you need to be confident within yourself. It is very ashamed to have a brand of CPA at the workplace and you are the management accountant and you are the chief finance manager, whatever. You did CPA and you did the paper that involves cost accounting and management decision. And then you're recommending your classmates to come and do the work. That's really overburdening your company, and to us, it does not count well on us. So kindly take it in good faith and let us take it positively and work harder. Then you'll find that Charles is still asking that year in, year out, the question is confusing and it's poorly done. I think, Charles, this question, let us appreciate the flow. Let us appreciate the flow because there are those who actually, there's one sitting recently where somebody got 38 out of 40, meaning that he actually got it right. So let us just appreciate the flow and use whatever figure that is provided. Appreciate the use and the relevance of each and every figure, each and every number that you've been provided in every question, so that you are able to come out with the expected advice and decision. Otherwise, I see you. I don't see any other question in the Q&A. I would like to advise listeners that kindly, if there is such an engagement or is come and be on. The previous sitting, we had over 100 candidates failing, but as we talk, we don't even make half of those who failed. Maybe they have connectivity, maybe communication was late, but whichever reason, I would expect the learners to really log in and listen in so that you come to know what could be the causes of poor performance. And then, as Gabriel put it, the Institute will provide you with solutions. We give you the comments, examiner's comments, and he has talked with confidence and indicated that he really appreciated the reports that we provided to him. Thank you so much. Please don't come for MDC and you leave a calculator behind. Don't expect to come and only read and give one day answers and expect to get a solution, rather a solution right to marks from there. However, at Digital you are not going to get marks when you cannot appreciate the relevance of the figures that have been provided in this exam. So you must be ready to appreciate the flow and you add and subtract and multiply so that you come out with the right figures that you're going to use to advise the company on what decision, on what programs, on what direction we need to take. Thank you so much. Once again, we are going to close at 7, but a few things I can communicate to you. We have the engagements going on. We have other engagements coming on, but before I come to that, I'd like to say once again, thank you so much, CPA Gabriel. Members, join me to appreciate CPA Gabriel. We have a virtual hand clap. Gabriel, receive it. And this one, you can get it from me on the screen. We do appreciate you've done it well. Kindly feel free and enjoy your evening as I make final remarks, and then we shall invite you again to do the same, because you are still our key person to really talk to our students. Thank you, Gabriel. Enjoy the evening. Members, as I conclude, tomorrow we have CPA 8, that's financial reporting, from 2 to 4, and we shall have CPA 9, advanced taxation, from 5 to 7 tomorrow. Then during the week, we shall again have advanced financial reporting. Towards the end of the week, we shall have public sector accounting towards the end of the week. So get the program on your emails, on your portal, on your communication lines, and make sure you are on so that you benefit from this engagement. Be it a lecturer, be it a student, log in. And as I said, we have the tuition engagement also coming on. You'll be getting the invite. Those who are in tuition provision, kindly be on so that we share information and share knowledge as we grow the accountancy profession together. Members who have attended, I once again thank you. I can take you for granted. Thank you, and I hope these tips are going to help you to perform better, or to perform very well in the coming exams. I've taken note of those who have attended, and I look forward to seeing you pass well, because we are here the way we are preparing for the coming exams. Thank you so much. Enjoy the evening. All the best from the Institute. God bless you.